So, what did we have? We had... Yeah, we had regular time and place, we had internal dialogue, we had posture, and we had breathing. And the next step that he talks about is Sankalpa Shakti, cultivating Sankalpa Shakti. One of the reasons for this, at this point, sometimes it seems like you would have Shakti, you would have determination right in front of all of this. But there's a particular reason that determination is here. Because it's here in this phase that you're actually going to start to mindfully, intentionally encounter the contents of the mind. You know, often it's thought that with meditation you're supposed to stop the thinking, and it doesn't work. Swami Rama has repeatedly pointed this out to us. It's in here, it's in the other books and the lectures, that it doesn't work to stop the mind. Well, if you've been working with the internal dialogue, if you have a regular time and place, and you've worked with the body, and you've got the breath smooth, now you're prepared to do this very odd thing. I'm saying odd a little playfully. Is that now you want the mind to come forward. It's the exact opposite of what most of us think we want to do. This can be a major misunderstanding of meditation. How it goes, and it goes back to day one of meditation. Oh, these thoughts are bothering me. How do I get rid of these thoughts? Teacher, how do I get rid of these thoughts? And it's the exact opposite of what we want to do. What we want to do is somehow, through practice, cultivate an attitude that says something like this: it simply doesn't matter what my mind does. I'm not going to be disturbed by it. If what I'm meditating on is I'm feeling the breath coming in and out of my nostrils, it's the attitude that says, I don't care what else is going on. This is what I'm doing. I'm being one-pointed. I'm focused on what I'm doing, and nothing is going to distract me. Nothing's going to disturb me, period. And this is why this is about determination. This now is where we have to have that determination. I don't recall if it's exactly here or in another place, but Swamiji points out that many of us have read the books and we want Kundalini Shakti. We want Kundalini awakening. So we're going to do all sorts of things to cause that happen. But that the first thing that happens with the coming of Shakti is not Kundalini Shakti. It is, of course, it is Kundalini Shakti, but is Sankalpa Shakti. So it's the Shakti of determination. It's the power, it's the ability. It's using the positive aspect of your willpower to say it simply doesn't matter what happens, I'm not going to be disturbed by it. People who live near airports and train stations and things like that come to do this naturally. After a while, they just don't hear the trains go by. Just because they're living there, and so they skip a sentence in the conversation, a train goes by, and you just pick up where you left off, and nobody notices. Well, this is what we ought to be able to do with our thought patterns. And it starts with determination. And that comes from being aware that I need determination. You cultivate that by having, here he says this, this is a battlefield within. A meditator has to face this battlefield. Meditation is not meant to be a battlefield, but you use it as a battlefield. Perhaps an image or sensation comes to mind you decide is good, or a memory of a boyfriend whom you have forgotten long ago comes to your meditation, and you decide that is bad. Thus you fight with yourself. All of your impressions from the conscious and unconscious mind come forward. The next step is learning to cultivate sankalpa, determination, that the feeling, I will do it, I can do it, and I have to do it no matter what happens. You make the effort, and the determination should be there. You make the effort and the determination should be there. It is not like being forced by any outside authority. You are committing yourself, and this is your sankalpa or resolve. You cannot attain anything without sankalpa. There are many intelligent students that do not have sankalpa, and that is why they lack confidence. They may be brilliant, but they do not have self-confidence because they do not have sankalpa. They never discipline themselves, so they lack sankalpa shakti. And you don't want to fall into that trap. It can go for years. You can read the books, you can study, you can learn Sanskrit, you can do all sorts of intellectual things. But what if you don't have the determination to sit quietly with an attitude that the thoughts that are arising from the back mind, they're just thoughts. They're just memories. They've come in through my senses while I've been living my life. They come in, they go to the basement of memory, and they quite naturally arise. And then we fall into the trap of thinking they're bad and I have to get rid of them. What if I have the determination to treat them the way I would treat the airplanes beside the airport, if that's where I lived? Then no problem. This determination thing is something that simply has to be lived. Swamiji says, you need to decide, I am going to sit for my meditation, and no intruding thoughts will be able to control or sway my mind. What thought can disturb my mind? I am someone. I'm initiated. There is a tradition behind me. I am a human being. I have the infinite source within me. These are not just words. This is not a script to memorize, but it means find your own words to say that, to convince yourself. It's the feeling that comes. When you hear the words, and it creates a feeling, and then but you want to internalize that. How can a mere thought disturb me? I have allowed myself to be disturbed. That is why this thought is disturbing me. I have allowed it to disturb me. I am not going to allow this. Think of what happens when something happens with a person out in the external world, and they do something, and you watch yourself react, and you know it was a silly reaction. You know that. You know I reacted to that person, and I didn't need to react that way. So we can do that kind of internal dialogue, but we can do the same thing internally. And that builds the determination. Just realizing I fell for it one more time. Oops. Yeah, oops. I tripped and there I got sucked in again one more time. And so the determination is not beating up on yourself because you fell for it. That's not it at all. It's training the mind. Mind, no, no, no. Keep going, mind. Don't get disturbed by these things, mind. You need to let go of these things, mind.
It's a great feeling. Very good too.
First, you need to learn to make a decision. That's the buddhi part, that makes a decision. And second, to have sankalpa or determination. First, we make a decision. The decision is, I'm not going to be disturbed. I hope that makes sense. First is a decision, this is not useful. This is the internal dialogue. This is not useful. Mind, you're getting caught in this again. This is not useful. My decision is to not be disturbed by it. Not to go blow up the train station, so to speak. Let the train station keep going. Let the trains keep coming and going. No need to get rid of it. But I will not be disturbed by it. First there's a decision, and then it has to have some power behind it. And then you muster together all of the power that you can. Determination actually comes second, says Swamiji here. The determination comes second. First there's a decision. If there's no decision, then nothing happens. If all we say is, how do I get rid of these thoughts? These thoughts are driving me crazy, blah, 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 I'm no good, and on and on and on. It's not useful. So first is a decision. I have to figure out somehow to be not disturbed by these thoughts. And I need to quit falling into the trap of thinking incorrectly that somehow I'm going to get rid of these thoughts. So then when you read another one of these books or you watch a video, you over and over, you keep running into the different times, different ways where essentially the same thing is said. First, I have to make a decision. If I have a steady posture and if I've accomplished the step before this of having a smooth, serene breath, then the mind is automatically going to be more quiet. The noise level of the mind is already smaller. And what comes before having the body steady and the breath smooth?
Internal dialogue.
Internal dialogue. And remember, we were looking at that part that says, if you do internal dialogue, then your meditation will be meditation. And if you skip that part, then your meditation is not meditation. It's just mind having its own form of dialogue, which is only monologue. It's just jabbering. So there really is something very systematic about this process. And that's probably the key value of taking a look at these 8 steps here, is to really see that there is a systematic process. And if you can get a foothold into understanding that process in looking in one place, then you can see it in all the other books. You can see it in all of the recorded lectures. Over and over you run into it. But we can have the determination that says, thoughts come. I don't care if you come. I'm going to be not disturbed by you. And if we find that we're at this phase of the meditation and we're getting disturbed by those thoughts, probably we didn't do the step before it. We didn't really get the breath serene. Or we didn't do the step before that. We weren't really sitting comfortably. Or we skipped the internal dialogue part. Or we didn't have a regular time and place. We hadn't done anything. And we just plop ourselves down on our butt and say, I'm going to meditate now. And when it doesn't work properly, then we complain. Bad teacher, bad method. And we haven't followed the basic instructions.